Well, hey fans, welcome back to another movie review, and today we're talking about Scarlet. So Scarlet is a Japanese anime fantasy film directed by Mamoru Hosoda, starring Mana Ashida, Masaki Okada, Koji Yakusho, and many other names, and it follows this medieval warrior princess named Scarlet, who must avenge her father's death after he was killed by her uncle. So I really enjoy Mamoru Hosoda's movies. His most recent film, Belle, that came out before this, I did enjoy. I thought the music in that was really good. The animation was really good. And the story was really fun. That one was based off of Beauty and the Beast. And this one, Scarlet, is actually based off of Hamlet, which is a Shakespearean story. And to start off with the positive about this movie, I thought it was very beautifully animated. It looks, for the most part, gorgeous. This is the type of animation that we don't really get to see in America nowadays. We've all moved to like that Pixar style animation. There are a few exceptions, like the Spider-Verse movies, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, the upcoming like Goats, stuff of that nature, K-pop Demon Hunters. Some movies are better animated, but typically we get that Pixar looking 3D digital stuff that was great when it first came out in the 90s, early 2000s, and now it's become boring. But seeing the way like these anime movies still use, the original, like the 2D cell shading mixed with some of the CGI elements, I think it looks great. When it first came up on my TV screen, I was like, wow, this is a beautifully animated movie. It looks great. So I wish that there was more of that throughout. Now, it is not consistent, I'd always say. Some of the wide shots, some of the views where you have like a bunch of people on the screen and like a crowd, it definitely looks like they cut and pasted some of the objects. There's like this giant dragon that appears throughout the story, and it is very stagnant, even though he's like flying through the sky. It really just looks like a fake dragon. I don't know. It doesn't move. So I wish, they had kept that consistency throughout the entire film. Definitely there were some budget constraints in that area that they had to, kind of taper back on what they were working on. But like I said, I really enjoyed how it looked. I really enjoyed the character interpretations. Of course, the main character, Scarlet, and her voice actor. I think, everything felt like it flowed and everything was synonymous. Her relationship with the main guy, I can't remember his name at the moment, but I thought their relationship was good. My key issue with this movie is the overall story and the fact that at times it got really boring. And like, I was kind of really into this movie for the first 30 minutes. I wanted to see where the story went. But as it continued, I just got less and less interested in what was going on. And a lot of it, honestly, was a little confusing to me. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And this is completely in Japanese, so it is subbed. And I'm fine with reading subtitles. There's no issue with me there. And I'm just reading what's going along, and I'm watching it, and I'm still like, so is this, basically it's like like an afterlife almost, but in this afterlife, time doesn't exist how it exists here on Earth. It's like everybody, no matter when you die, you end up in this afterlife, and you can see people from different eras. But it seems like, for some reason, like one of the main characters, it's like all the people from her town are there. And there's one guy from the future, and he's like the only futuristic person there, at least from like the modern day future. So, and you can also still die there. It's a very weird interpretation of the afterlife. And I feel like they could have explored that or explained that just a little bit better to make that, go along with the story. Because I don't necessarily remember that part in Hamlet. The revenge aspect of it with the uncle, I remember that from Hamlet when I read it in high school, but everything else is definitely like an anime influence that they just kind of tossed in here. I feel they could have gone with a more straightforward adaptation. So yeah, and that overall, the whole confusion aspect of it, which led to boredom, which led to me almost dozing off a couple of times. I felt it was not as enthralling as Belle was, and I feel like Mamoru Hosoda, he's been a good director for a while. He's done many things that I've enjoyed, animated many things I've enjoyed. I feel like he could have done a better job in that aspect of the film. But even though the story to me was a little bit bland and boring, the overall lesson, the lesson of forgiveness, the lesson of overcoming your rage and forgiving your enemies is a great lesson for a movie like this. And as a Christian, you can actually take a good lesson away from that, because as Christians, we are supposed to forgive our enemies, love our enemies, and, wish that they'll come to Jesus. So I just think that that was a great lesson for a movie like this. And in the terms of it being, a strictly Japanese animated movie, I mean, like, they may eventually dub it. I don't know when or if they will. This is not for kids. This is for your strict anime fans who are okay with watching subbed movies in a long format. And I still want to see what Mamoru Hosoda is going to do next. His work with Studio Chizu, I think, can only get better than this, hopefully. And I just wish they had tried a little harder. So in terms of a score, like, the animation is great and all that, and the lesson that you learn at the end I think is wonderful. I wish it weren't as boring. I'm gonna give it a solid 5 out of 10. And I think, like, again, if you're a big anime head, you should definitely check this out. It's playing in IMAX theaters this weekend. I'd like to thank you guys again for joining me for this movie review. You can find the full review on YouTube and the website, flipfrogllc.com/flixfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.